Back in Southwest Florida, their goal is to put sailors of all ages and abilities out on the water. But many of the people who take part in the Share Sailing program come away with a whole lot more. James Irby tells us why.
When he's on land, 14-year-old Paul Stevens needs help to get around. But out on the water, he's on his own. Paul has cerebral palsy and can't use his legs and has only limited movement in his arms, so he controls his sailboat with a joystick strapped to his chest. It's all part of a sailing program set up by the Society of Handicapped Achievement, Rehabilitation, and Empowerment, or SHARE.
We're trying to get people out on the water to empower them. There are a lot of people who live their lives in a wheelchair and could only imagine what it would be like to go out on a sailboat.
SHARE's goal is to get people out on the water so they focus on sailing, not their limitations.
Did you have fun sailing?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Paul is, real social, but he's real limited by what his body can do. And they've got this program set up so that even people who are impaired like Paul can get out and do things on their own.
After their sailing experience, Davison, who lost all 4 of his limbs 5 years ago, says many disabled participants realize the only real limitations that exist are the ones they set for themselves.
They're going out, they're learning a little bit about sailing, and now they're thinking about what's the next hurdle that I can achieve? What's the next thing that I can do that I thought I couldn't do?
Case in point, 7-year-old Sarah Bombard. She went sailing for the first time just a few weeks ago, and already she's going solo.
She just was totally excited. She had a lot of the terminology down, which I can't remember any of it right now. And her first words when she got off that was, "Next time I want to go alone."
Hey, you excited? You getting ready to sail? You excited?
Yeah.
Organizers say right now they have a small, effective program, but with the community's help, they could do even more to see to it that those who usually do so little without assistance can do it all on their own. James Irby, Fox 4 News.
A tragic accident 5 years ago left one Naples man fighting for his life, a victim of severe frostbite. He survived but lost both his hands and his legs below the knees. Today, he shares his message that speaks volumes and spans the skies. Kristen Wood has the story.
The harness and the cable is just shorter than my arm. So when I extend my arm, the cable pulls back on the thumb and opens the hook.
The questions and curiosity about his artificial limbs don't bother Dan Davison. As a motivational speaker, he's well used to talking about his disabilities. Through this, he helps others embrace life. Today, though, Dan is realizing his own dream.
I've actually been planning this since I was in the acute care hospital in 1995. I was not going to let this physical disability limit me.
His message is about realizing you always have choices in life. And today, he is choosing to celebrate life by making his flight for freedom. Right now, Dan's plane is climbing to the right altitude. At 13,000 feet, he'll make his jump free-falling for a full minute at 120 miles per hour, trying to land as close to this spot as possible.
That was unreal. The free fall. I almost don't have words. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. It was just the most unbelievable experience I've ever had in my life. The only limitations in life are the ones that you choose to put on yourself. So I am definitely declaring this my day of independence.
Kristen Wood, Fox 4 News.
So cool, and Davison says he's thinking of making that jump every year to mark his release from the hospital. Good for him.
A Naples man is hoping people can learn from his example so they never get involved with drugs. Week News reporter Camden Smith spoke with the man. Naples, what's so important and special about his message?
Well, Patrick, Dan Davison, he's an ordinary guy, but a tragedy in his life dealing with drugs taught him how to achieve his goals despite the odds.
I'm ready. Walk on.
Dan Davison holds strong he'll do everything he dreams of in life.
I wanted to parachute. I wanted to ride a horse. I wanted to scuba dive.
For 5 years now, Davison has been riding horses at the Naples Equestrian Challenge.
The first time that I ever rode a horse in my life was in the rehab hospital with no prosthetics.
In 1995, Davison passed out in the back of his apartment in the middle of a Chicago winter. He lost his fingers, feet, and part of one of his legs.
I was merely playing in the snow, making angels and slipping and sliding around.
Under the influence of cocaine?
Yes, acting like a fool, and I slipped and I hit my head and I knocked myself unconscious.
He woke up with frozen blocks of ice for feet, and the reality, his drug addiction led to it.
I had no idea what was going to become of me. Bring it around, just bring it around. If there's something in your life that you want to go after and you want to accomplish, what's stopping you from doing that?
Davison says nothing should. Every day he rides a horse or does something new, he cherishes the new life he's been given.
It's not what happens to you in life that matters. It's what you choose to do about it.
Davison plans to start a boat club for people with challenges. That should start up this June when he gets the boat somewhere, I believe, in Miami. By the way, he will be in the Great Dock Canoe Races right here in Naples this weekend. Patrick?
Well, sounds good. He's a brave man. Don't do drugs. Make the most of your life. Thanks, Kim.
One out of every 4 families in this country have a loved one that is mentally ill. That's according to the National Alliance for People with Mental Illness, or NAMI. Because of those staggering figures, people in Naples took part in a NAMI walk today to raise money for treatment. Now, NAMI is relatively new to Southwest Florida, but the organization has growing support.
And NAMI National started 3 years ago with 12 sites throughout the country. We were one of the first 12, and today and throughout this month they're rolling out to over 50 sites throughout the country.
For one of the participants in today's NAMI event, just being able to walk is a major challenge. Dan Davison lost parts of all 4 of his limbs in an accident a decade ago. Now he is a motivational speaker, sharing his story of struggle so others can benefit. Fox 4's Sean Thomas shows us how Davison is inspiring others.
Dan Davison lost his limbs in an accident 10 years ago, but he's still living life to its fullest.
When I was in the hospital and realized that I was going to lose my limbs, at that point I had to say to myself, it's not what happens to life that matters. It's what you're going to do about it.
Dan chose to be a motivational speaker.
He's actually influenced my life to go through the struggles, to make it through all the obstacles that you have. He survived so much.
His survival and efforts today is proof that people can recover. Finding that ability to recover is where Dan excels.
That's what it's really about with the disability, is being able to look at a task and attack it from several different angles, and then not being afraid to say, you know, I don't know how to do this, and what do you think? How do you see I might be able to get it done? And just trial and error. Then just keep plugging on.
In Naples, Sean Thomas, Fox 4 News.
Dan lost his limbs from frostbite after overdosing on drugs and falling in the snow. Now he speaks around the country about choices and consequences.